Later, when the parade of men finally stopped, I heard a rumble. A heavy grate had been put over the hold. The grate's bars made the hold seem like a prison. Jem had heard a story. On another ship, some pirates pretended to be coolies and got on board. When the ship set sail, they took it over and killed everyone. But Sonny said the sailors are just afraid of us making a fuss. When I asked him what kind of fuss, he told me I'd find out all too soon. Mellon asked him how he knows so much. It seems that Sonny has had 3 cousins who have made it overseas. Their letters have described the voyage. April 25th, somewhere on the Pacific Ocean. Too seasick to write until today. Almost all of us have been ill. It's also as hot as a stove inside the locked-up hold, and it's not even the warm season yet. The smells only make me sicker. At first, some men who could move tried to go up on deck for relief, but the grate was locked. So the healthier men sit on the stairs to get a draft of fresh air. Once a day, the sailors lower buckets to use for night soil. Then they haul up the used ones. Sonny was the first to recover. He claimed his wife's cooking would toughen anyone's stomach. He brought us all bowls of rice and the tea. When I tried to thank him again, he growled at me in his usual way. He wasn't doing this because he liked any of us. He just didn't want us dying and stinking up the place any worse. Mellon was suffering the most from the seasickness. He was sure that if he died there, he was going straight to heaven after all this torture. Sonny said there are worse ships. On those, 1 out of every 3 Chinese never reach the Golden Mountain. And there are better ships where everyone makes it. I thought I knew what type of ship my uncle and cousins were on, but what kind of ship was this one? Maybe this will be my last entry. I wish I'd written better. My teacher would sniff at my penmanship and style. May 4th, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. I can barely write about this. I've never felt more humiliated. However, when I first began to keep you diary, I decided I would tell you everything that happened. So that is what I must do. At first, I was glad when the sailors let a group of us up on the deck. It was a little scary to be surrounded by that much water without any land in sight, but the fresh air felt good. Then one of them said in a broken Chinese that we had to take off our clothes. The sailors ripped the clothes off the ones who were slow. They wiped their hands afterward as if they had touched filth. If they would let us out of the hold to wash, we wouldn't stink. I tried to tell them that, but they ignored me. Then another group of sailors began bobbing up and down as they worked a pump. A third group picked up a hose and aimed it at us. I had barely taken a deep breath before the blast of cold salt water hit us. The rest of the crew gathered around and made fun of us, pointing and laughing. I'm not a human being to them. I felt so angry. So did the others. Sonny was right. The sailors don't keep us locked up because they're afraid we're pirates. They knew we were going to be angry at this treatment and are scared of us. But if they treated us like humans, they wouldn't have kept us in jail. May 24th, somewhere on the Pacific Ocean. I have been too busy to write. Illness has swept through the hold. Every day we put corpses on the stairs and the sailors take them away. The bodies are dumped onto the ocean. There will be no rest for their souls. You have to be buried in your home soil for that. Strangely, except for the seasickness at first, I felt well, so I've been trying to take care of our little group. The others have recovered, but Sonny grows weaker and weaker. I don't know what to do for my friend. I feel so helpless I could cry. But tears would just make them mad, and so I hold them in. May 29th, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. 3 more dead. Will any of us live? June 3rd, somewhere on the Pacific Ocean. Sonny asked me if I could write a letter, so he was so embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed too. After all, I'm just a student. I've got no business writing letters as if I was a scholar. If I'd put on those airs back home, my teacher would have whacked me with his bamboo rod. So I told him that as yet I can write only regular Chinese. I don't know all the fancy classical words a real writer would know. Sonny just said that his family wouldn't know it was him if it didn't sound plain. I could see he really wanted me to, so I tore a page out and asked him what he wanted to say. I have made a copy of his letter because I think it's what many of the men would have said. Dear wife, I know I promised that I would dictate a letter and tell you about the land of the Golden Mountain, but I don't think I'm going to get there. I can keep one small promise, though. With this letter, you will receive the silk ribbon for your hair. I bought it for you in the city. I'm so sorry that I can't keep my other promises to you. I'll make it up to you in some other life, for as sure as I am there is a heaven, I am also sure we will meet again. I will miss everything about home. I will miss waking up every morning and listening to you start the fire in the stove. I will miss tickling our daughter and hearing her laugh. I will miss the sight of the wind rippling through our rice fields. I will miss walking with you up to the cemetery and to visit our oldest boy. There was more about what to do after he died. At first, I didn't want to put it down. You're not going to die, a tough man like you, I said. Here's a little bug like you scooting around and a big man like me is laid low, he said. Heaven must have a sense of humor. I'm doing this letter, but you can give it to your wife yourself when you go home. Then you can both have a good laugh, I said. Sonny just smiled and went on. At least Sonny owns 3 fields, so his family could sell one of them to cover the debt. When he was finished dictating, I signed his name and gave him the brush so he could make his mark. He admired the letter. He hadn't known he had said so many words. I apologized for my handwriting.
Hello.
I had been only average for my class. Sonny didn't care. He never thought he would see his thoughts down on paper like he was a scholar or an emperor or somebody important. He started to touch one of the words. I warned him that the ink was still wet and might smudge, so he made a point of holding the letter by the edges as he gazed at it. I have always enjoyed reading, but up until now I haven't enjoyed writing. I got whacked too many times by my teacher for that. I was always writing the strokes of a word in the wrong order. Now, though, I see that writing has its own power. It was like magic to Sonny. Sonny said his oldest boy would have been my age if he'd lived. They had buried him right underneath a pine tree. Then suddenly he looked shy. He had one more big favor to ask. Of course, I said I'd do it if I could. He wants to be mentioned in my book. He added quickly that it doesn't have to be a whole sentence, just his name. Then he closed his eyes. He only grunts when I try to encourage him. I wish I knew what to do. I've known him for only a short while, but I feel like he's an uncle. June 13th, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. We put Sonny's body on the stairs. I feel like I will break inside. When will this trip ever end? Even his ghost can't go home because his body's at the bottom of the ocean. My tears are smudging the ink. Soon I won't be able to read this page. I have to stop. June 17th, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. We heard the thump of excited feet on the deck above. One of the sailors called down to us that we've made landfall. Sonny almost reached the Golden Mountain. I should be cheering like the others, but I have no laughter or smiles inside me. Sonny is just another man who died trying to feed his family. There will be no record of his family's grief when they get my letter. No one will know their tears, but I will, and I will not forget.